Olivia Jones stared at the text message on her phone, her hands shaking. The words blurred as tears filled her eyes. She had to read it 3 times to make sure she understood correctly. Her boyfriend of 2 years, billionaire Richard Walker, was planning to break up with her at his birthday party next week. And not just break up, he wanted to humiliate her in front of everyone they knew. The text wasn't meant for her. Richard had accidentally sent it to her instead of his friend James. Got everything set for the birthday. Going to finally end things with Olivia. Can't have someone like her dragging down my image anymore. Family's been pushing back too much. Time to move on to someone more suitable for the Walker name. Should be quite the show when I announce it at the party. Olivia sat down slowly on her couch, feeling like all the air had been knocked from her lungs. Someone like her. She knew exactly what that meant. Despite her successful career as a marketing executive, despite her intelligence, her kindness, her love, she would never be suitable for the Walker family. Not with her skin color. Not with her background from a middle-class family instead of old money. For 2 years, she had ignored the sideways glances from his family, the subtle comments, the way she was excluded from certain events. She had believed Richard when he said none of that mattered to him, that he loved her for who she was. She had believed him when he said they were building toward a future together. What hurt most wasn't just the betrayal, it was the planning. Richard had been plotting this, choosing his birthday party as the stage for her humiliation. His birthday party that she had spent weeks helping to organize, picking out the perfect gift, making sure everything would be special for him. Her phone buzzed again. Another message from Richard, ignore that last text. Sent to wrong person. Then immediately after, it's not what you think. Call me. Olivia wiped her tears and took a deep breath. The initial shock was wearing off and in its place came something else, determination. She had been holding herself back for Richard, compromising, trying to fit into his world. She had put her own dreams on hold to support his. No more. She wouldn't call him back. Not yet. First she needed a plan. If Richard wanted to put on a show at his birthday party, she would give him one, just not the one he expected. Olivia picked up her phone and called her best friend Zoe. Hey, I need your help with something. You okay? You sound upset, Zoe said, concern in her voice. No, I'm not okay. But I will be, Olivia replied. Richard's planning to dump me at his birthday party next week. What? That jerk? How did you find out? He sent me a text by mistake. Meant for his friend. Zoe's voice hardened. I never liked him. Always thought he was too full of himself. What are you going to do? Olivia smiled for the first time since reading the text. I'm going to turn the tables on him. And I need your help. I'm all in. What's the plan? Olivia looked at the calendar on her wall. Richard's birthday was in 8 days. I'm not sure yet, but I have a week to figure it out. And it starts with me not returning his calls. As if on cue, her phone lit up with Richard's name. She declined the call. That's my girl, Zoe said. Whatever you need, I'm here. After hanging up, Olivia sat thinking. She wouldn't cry anymore. She wouldn't beg for explanations. Those text messages had shown her Richard's true colors, and now she would show him hers. Her phone rang again. Richard again. She turned off her phone completely and threw it on the couch. Then she walked to her bathroom, ran the shower as hot as she could stand it, and stepped in, letting the water wash away her tears. By the time she got out, her skin was red from the heat, but her mind was clear. Richard had chosen his path. Now she would choose hers. For the first time in 2 years, Olivia felt truly free. She wouldn't let Richard's betrayal define her. Instead, she would use it as fuel to reclaim her life. Her real life, not the one where she was constantly trying to be good enough for the Walkers. As she dried off and got dressed, Olivia caught sight of herself in the mirror. You deserve better, she told her reflection. And you're going to get it. Outside her apartment, the city lights twinkled against the darkening sky. A new night was beginning. And for Olivia Jones, a new chapter was about to start. By morning, Olivia had 15 missed calls and 23 text messages from Richard. She read through them while sipping her coffee. Please call me back. It's not what you think. We need to talk. Where are you? Are you okay? I'm coming over if you don't answer. The last one made her smile. Richard was used to having control. Used to people, especially her, doing what he wanted. Not anymore. She finally replied with a simple text. I'm fine. Need some space. Talk later. His response came instantly. I'm coming over. No, she texted back. I'm not home. I'll call when I'm ready. She wasn't lying. She was already at Zoe's apartment where she had stayed the night. "He's freaking out," Olivia told Zoe, showing her the messages. "Good," Zoe replied, pouring more coffee. "Let him sweat." They spent the morning outlining Olivia's plan. It wasn't about revenge. Olivia wasn't that person. It was about reclaiming her dignity and showing Richard exactly what he was losing. "I've put my whole life on hold for him," Olivia realized as they talked. "That job offer in Chicago last year, I turned it down because Richard said long distance wouldn't work. And your design business," Zoe added. "You hardly do any freelance work anymore because you're always helping with his events." Olivia nodded. Before meeting Richard, she had been building a promising side business in event planning and design, on top of her marketing career. Slowly, that had been replaced with planning events for Richard and his family, unpaid of course because it was for love. "That changes now," Olivia said firmly. "I'm calling that company in Chicago to see if they still have an opening." "Really? You'd leave town?" "Maybe. I don't know yet. But I need to start making decisions for myself again." Olivia made the call that afternoon. Surprisingly, the company was still interested. They had filled the previous position but were expanding and needed more talent. They scheduled a video interview for the next day. By evening, Olivia felt ready to face Richard. She went back to her apartment, knowing he would probably show up once he knew she was home. Sure enough, 30 minutes after she texted Zoe that she was back home, there was a knock at her door. When she opened it, Richard stood there looking uncharacteristically disheveled. His normally perfect hair was messy, his eyes had dark circles underneath. "Olivia," he said, relief in his voice. "You had me worried sick." "Come in," she said calmly, stepping aside. Richard entered, immediately launching into his explanation. "That text, it wasn't what it seemed. James and I were discussing a business deal. It was code for a client we're dropping." Olivia almost laughed at the absurdity of his lie. "Really? And this client happens to have my exact name." "It's a coincidence," he said, not meeting her eyes. "Stop lying, Richard. It's insulting." His shoulders slumped. "Fine. But it wasn't my idea. My family has been pressuring me. You know how they are." "I do know how they are. And I know how you are too. Someone who would plan to publicly humiliate me instead of having an honest conversation." "I wasn't going to humiliate you," he protested. "I was going to do it privately after the party." "That's not what your text said," Olivia replied. She held up her phone, showing him the screenshot she'd taken. "Should be quite the show when I announce it at the party." Richard paled. I wasn't thinking straight. I would never actually do that." "I don't believe you." Olivia's voice was steady. "But it doesn't matter now. We're done." "What? No." Richard looked genuinely shocked. "Olivia, I love you. We can work through this." "I loved you too. But I don't think you ever really loved me. If you did, you wouldn't have planned this. You wouldn't let your family's opinions matter more than me." "That's not fair," Richard said, his shock turning to anger. "I've stood up to them countless times for you." "Not enough times," Olivia replied. "And not when it really mattered." They argued for another hour. Richard cycling through denial, anger, bargaining. He promised to cut off his family if they didn't accept her. He swore he'd marry her tomorrow if that's what she wanted. But Olivia remained firm. "It's too late, Richard. The trust is gone." Finally exhausted, Richard asked, "So that's it? 2 years just over?" "Yes," Olivia said. "Please leave. And don't contact me again." After Richard left, Olivia sat on her couch feeling strangely peaceful. Breaking up had been hard, but nowhere near as devastating as she would have imagined a few days ago. That's when she realized, part of her had known all along that Richard wasn't truly committed to her. She just hadn't wanted to see it. Her phone buzzed with a text from Zoe. "How did it go?" "It's done," Olivia replied. "I'll tell you everything tomorrow. Tonight I need sleep." As she got ready for bed, Olivia thought about her interview tomorrow and the possibilities ahead. Chicago. A fresh start. But first she had a birthday party to attend. Because despite what she told Richard, Olivia wasn't quite finished yet. She would still go to his birthday celebration, but on her own terms. The party was at a hotel where Olivia had connections through her event planning work. Richard didn't know it yet, but his birthday was still going to feature a big announcement. Just not the one he had planned. Olivia aced her video interview with the Chicago company the next morning. They were impressed with her portfolio and experience, and by the end of the call, they made her an offer. The salary was better than her current job, and the position, creative marketing director, was exactly the career step she'd been hoping for. We need you as soon as possible, said the HR director. How soon can you relocate? 2 weeks, Olivia replied without hesitation. That would give her enough time to wrap things up here, including Richard's birthday party in 8 days. After accepting the offer, Olivia called Zoe with the news. Chicago. Zoe exclaimed. I'm going to miss you like crazy, but this is perfect timing. I know, Olivia agreed. But I'm not leaving until after Richard's party. You're still going? Why put yourself through that? Because I'm not going to slink away like I did something wrong. I'm going to hold my head high. Plus, I have a surprise planned. What kind of surprise? I can't tell you yet. But I need your help with something else. Remember Jackson Chin? Zoe was quiet for a moment. Your ex from college? The architect. Yes. Do you know if he's seeing anyone? Last I heard he was single. Moved back to town about 6 months ago. Why? I need a date for the party. Zoe laughed. Olivia Jones, you are full of surprises. I think I can get his number for you. Later that afternoon, Olivia sat across from Jackson Chin at a coffee shop downtown. He looked even better than she remembered, tall, confident, with kind eyes that crinkled when he smiled. I have to admit I was surprised to get your call, Jackson said. It's been what, 5 years? Almost 6, Olivia replied. Thanks for meeting me on such short notice. How could I say no? You were always hard to resist. His smile was warm, bringing back memories of their college days. They had dated for 2 years before breaking up amicably when their career paths took them to different cities. Olivia got straight to the point. I have an unusual favor to ask. She explained the situation with Richard, leaving out some of the more painful details, and her plan to attend his birthday party with a date. So you want to make him jealous? Jackson asked, raising an eyebrow. No, Olivia said firmly. I don't care if he's jealous or not. I just don't want to go alone. And I'd like to go with someone I have a genuine connection with. Jackson studied her face. There's more to this plan than you're telling me. Olivia smiled. Maybe. But I promise it's nothing that would make you uncomfortable. Well, I'm intrigued now, Jackson said. Count me in. When's this party? Next Saturday. Black tie. I'll text you the details. After sorting out the logistics, their conversation shifted to catching up on the past 6 years. Jackson had built a successful architectural firm specializing in sustainable design. He had moved back to be closer to his parents as his father dealt with health issues. And you? He asked. Still conquering the marketing world? Yes, but with a change coming up. I just accepted a job in Chicago. Chicago, Jackson repeated, looking thoughtful. Great architecture there. So I've heard, Olivia replied, smiling. They talked for 2 hours, falling back into the easy rhythm they'd always had together. Olivia had forgotten how simple things were with Jackson. No family drama, no having to prove herself worthy. As they were leaving, Jackson touched her arm lightly. It's really good to see you, Liv. Whatever happened with this Richard guy, he's an idiot for letting you go. Thank you, she said, touched by the sincerity in his voice. See you Saturday? Wouldn't miss it. Over the next few days, Olivia threw herself into preparations. She gave notice at her job, started packing her apartment, and finalized her plan for Richard's party. The night before the big event, she tried on her dress, a stunning red gown she had bought months ago for this occasion. Richard had never seen it. She had kept it as a surprise, knowing red was his favorite color. Now she wore it for herself because she looked amazing in it. She took a selfie and sent it to Zoe. You're going to knock everyone dead, Zoe texted back. Including your ex and your new old flame. Jackson's just a friend, Olivia replied, though she couldn't deny the connection she'd felt when they met for coffee. For now, Zoe texted with a winking emoji. Olivia put her phone down and looked in the mirror again. Tomorrow would be a new beginning in more ways than one. She was ready. The morning of Richard's birthday party arrived with perfect weather, sunny and mild. Olivia woke up feeling calm and determined. Today marked not just the final chapter of her relationship with Richard, but the beginning of her new life. She spent the morning finalizing details for her surprise at the party, making calls to ensure everything was in place. By afternoon, she began getting ready, taking her time with her hair and makeup. At 6 p.m., Jackson arrived to pick her up. When she opened the door, his reaction was worth all the effort she'd put into her appearance. Wow, he said simply, his eyes wide. You look incredible. Thank you, Olivia replied, taking in his perfectly fitted tuxedo. You clean up pretty well yourself. In the car, Olivia found herself relaxing in Jackson's company. Unlike with Richard, there was no pressure to be perfect, to say the right things, to impress anyone. Nervous? Jackson asked as they neared the hotel where the party was being held. Surprisingly, no, Olivia answered honestly. A week ago, I would have been terrified of facing Richard and his family. But now, I feel free. Jackson glanced at her, a smile playing on his lips. Freedom looks good on you. When they arrived at the Grand Plaza Hotel, the ballroom was already filling with guests. Richard had spared no expense. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead, champagne flowed freely, and a live band played soft jazz in the corner. Olivia spotted Richard immediately, surrounded by his usual circle of business associates. He hadn't seen her yet. Good. She wanted to control their first encounter. Let's get a drink, she suggested to Jackson, leading him toward the bar. They had just received their champagne when Zoe appeared, stunning in a silver dress. You made it. Olivia hugged her friend. Wouldn't miss this for the world, Zoe replied, then turned to Jackson. It's been ages. Still breaking hearts. Jackson laughed. Only accidentally. It's good to see you, Zoe. The three of them found a spot near one of the large windows overlooking the city skyline. From there, Olivia could see when Richard finally noticed her presence. His head turned in her direction, and even from across the room, she could see him freeze mid-conversation. He's seen you, Zoe murmured. I know, Olivia replied. Let him come to us. It took less than 5 minutes. Richard excused himself from his group and made his way across the ballroom, his expression a mixture of surprise and confusion. Olivia, he said when he reached them. I didn't expect to see you here. I RSVP'd months ago, she replied calmly. I wouldn't miss your birthday. Richard's eyes darted to Jackson, then back to her. Can we talk privately? Anything you have to say, you can say in front of my friends. Olivia kept her voice pleasant but firm. Richard's jaw tightened. Fine. I'm glad you came. You look beautiful. Thank you, Olivia said. Happy birthday, Richard. This is Jackson Chin, by the way. Jackson, this is Richard Walker. The two men shook hands, sizing each other up. How do you know each other? Richard asked, his tone casual but his eyes sharp. We dated in college, Jackson replied. Recently reconnected. Richard's face darkened. I see. Well, enjoy the party. He turned and walked away stiffly. Round one to Olivia, Zoe whispered, clinking her glass against Olivia's. Throughout the evening, Olivia could feel Richard watching her. She ignored him, focusing instead on catching up with Jackson and introducing him to the few people at the party she genuinely liked. By 9 o'clock, most of the guests had arrived. Richard's father, William Walker, took the stage to begin the speeches. William was the epitome of old money, silver-haired, impeccably dressed, with the confident bearing of someone who had never heard the word no. Ladies and gentlemen, William began, thank you for joining us to celebrate my son Richard's 35th birthday. Olivia tensed. It was almost time for her surprise. William's speech was brief, full of pride in his son's accomplishments. At the end, he raised his glass. And now, I believe Richard has something he would like to share with you all. Richard joined his father on stage, accepting the microphone with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. He scanned the crowd until his gaze landed on Olivia. Thank you all for coming tonight, Richard said. It means a lot to have friends and family here too. He was interrupted by a hotel staff member who approached the stage and whispered something in his ear. Richard frowned, then nodded. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, he said into the microphone. I've just been informed that we have a special presentation prepared. If you could all direct your attention to the screens. The large screens that flanked the stage lit up. Olivia held her breath. This was it. The screens showed the hotel's grand ballroom, this very room, but decorated differently with white flowers and ribbon. A wedding setup. Then text appeared. The Walker family and the Jones family invite you to celebrate the marriage of Richard Walker and Olivia Jones. Gasps echoed around the room. Richard stood frozen on stage, his mouth open in shock. The date on the invitation was 2 months from now. A date that Olivia and Richard had discussed many times as their potential wedding day, though he had never officially proposed. Then the screen changed again, showing another message. Sadly, this event will not be taking place. Instead, Olivia Jones invites you to celebrate her new beginning. A new career, a new city, and a life lived on her own terms. The screen displayed photos of Olivia throughout her career, her volunteer work, her designs, and finally, the Chicago skyline with the words "Coming Soon" beneath it. The ballroom erupted in murmurs. On stage, Richard looked like he'd been slapped. His father stepped forward, face red with anger, but Richard held up a hand to stop him. Olivia felt Jackson's hand on her back, steady and supportive. "You okay?" he whispered. She nodded, meeting Richard's gaze across the room. She didn't smile or gloat. This wasn't about humiliating him the way he had planned to humiliate her. It was about reclaiming her narrative. Richard stepped down from the stage and made his way toward her, his family watching in stunned silence. "What was that?" he demanded when he reached her. "That was me telling my side of the story," Olivia replied quietly. "Before you could tell yours. You had no right." "I had every right," Olivia cut him off. "You were planning to dump me tonight in front of everyone. Your words, not mine. I just beat you to the punch." Richard's anger deflated, replaced by something like respect. "I underestimated you." "Yes," Olivia agreed. "You did." Without another word, Richard turned and walked away, stopping to talk to his parents who were clearly demanding an explanation. "That was impressive," Jackson said, watching Richard retreat. "Remind me never to cross you." Olivia laughed, feeling lighter than she had in months. "Let's get out of here." They said goodbye to Zoe, who promised to call tomorrow for all the details, and made their way out of the ballroom. As they waited for the valet to bring Jackson's car, he turned to her. "Chicago, huh?" "Yes," Olivia confirmed. "I start in 2 weeks." Jackson nodded thoughtfully. "I have a few projects there. Might need to visit occasionally." Their eyes met, and Olivia felt a flutter of possibility. Not a rebound, not a replacement for what she'd lost with Richard, but something new. Something real. "I'd like that," she said softly. As they drove away from the hotel, Olivia looked back once at the glittering building. She had entered as Richard Walker's soon-to-be ex-girlfriend, but she was leaving as something much more important, herself. The morning after Richard's birthday party, Olivia woke to her phone buzzing non-stop. News of what happened had spread quickly through their social circle. She had dozens of messages from friends, colleagues, and even a few of Richard's family members, ranging from shock to support to outrage. She ignored most of them, responding only to close friends. To Zoe she sent, "Breakfast? I need coffee and someone to help me process last night." They met at their favorite cafe an hour later. Zoe arrived looking tired but excited. "You're famous," she announced as she sat down. "Everyone is talking about what happened." "I'm not sure that's a good thing," Olivia replied, sipping her latte. "Are you kidding? It's amazing. You stood up for yourself in the most epic way possible." Olivia smiled despite herself. It felt good. Scary but good. "So what happens now?" Zoe asked. "Chicago in 2 weeks and nothing. I need to focus on this move, getting settled in my new job." "And Jackson?" Zoe raised an eyebrow. Olivia felt her cheeks warm. "We talked a bit after leaving the party. He was really supportive." "Just supportive?" "Zoe, it's way too soon for anything else. Besides, he lives here, I'll be in Chicago." "He mentioned having projects there," Zoe pointed out. "And flights exist." "We'll see," Olivia said noncommittally, though the thought made her smile. After breakfast, Olivia went home to continue packing. She had just filled another box with books when her doorbell rang. Expecting Zoe, who had promised to bring packing supplies, she opened it without checking. Richard stood in the hallway, looking nothing like his usual polished self. His hair was rumpled, his eyes bloodshot. "Can I come in?" he asked. Olivia hesitated, then stepped aside. 5 minutes. Richard entered, taking in the half-packed apartment. "So you're really leaving?" "Yes. I told you that. I thought maybe you were just saying it for the party." "For effect." Olivia shook her head. "No, it's real. I start my new job in 2 weeks." Richard nodded slowly. "My parents are furious. The whole family is." "I imagine they would be." "Not at you," Richard said, surprising her. "At me?" Olivia hadn't expected that. "Why?" "For letting you go. For almost making a huge mistake." Richard stepped closer. "Olivia, seeing you last night, seeing what I was about to lose, it made me realize how stupid I've been." "Richard." "No, please listen," he interrupted. "I love you. I've always loved you. I let my family get in my head, make me doubt what I knew was right. But I'm done with that now." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Olivia's heart sank. "Don't," she said firmly. "Olivia Jones," Richard continued as if she hadn't spoken, opening the box to reveal a stunning diamond ring. "Will you marry me? For real this time. No games, no family interference. Just us." Olivia looked at the ring, then at Richard's hopeful face. Once, this would have been everything she wanted. Now it felt like a step backward. No, she said simply. Richard blinked, clearly not expecting rejection. What? No, Richard. I won't marry you. But, I thought, after everything we've been through? That's just it, Olivia explained gently. We've been through too much. The trust is broken. I can't go back to wondering if you really want me or if you're just afraid of losing face. This isn't about saving face, Richard protested. I talked to my parents last night. Told them if they couldn't accept you, they couldn't be part of my life. Dad was furious, but Mom? I think she finally understands. I'm glad, Olivia said sincerely. But this isn't about your parents anymore. It's about us. About the fact that you were willing to publicly humiliate me rather than stand up for our relationship. I made a mistake. A huge one. But people make mistakes, Olivia. They deserve second chances. Sometimes they do, she agreed. But not this time. Not with us. Richard closed the ring box slowly. Is it because of him? That guy from last night? Jackson? No. This isn't about anyone else. It's about me finally seeing clearly what I need. And it's not this, she gestured between them, not anymore. Richard looked defeated. He put the ring box back in his pocket and moved toward the door. I really did love you, you know? I know, Olivia said softly. In your way. If you ever change your mind. I won't, she said not unkindly. But thank you for coming by. For what it's worth, I hope you find someone who makes you happy. Someone you're not afraid to stand up for. After Richard left, Olivia sat among her half-packed boxes, feeling a strange mix of sadness and relief. Despite everything, part of her would always care for Richard. They had shared 2 years of their lives. But she knew she had made the right choice. Her phone buzzed with a text from Jackson. Thinking about you today. Hope you're doing okay after last night. Olivia smiled, typing back. Better than okay. Packing for Chicago and feeling good about the future. His response came quickly. Speaking of Chicago, I have a meeting there next week. Dinner while I'm in town? Olivia hesitated only briefly before replying. I'd like that. She set down her phone and returned to packing, a sense of lightness filling her. The past week had been a whirlwind of emotions, but now she could see the path ahead clearly. Chicago. A new job. New possibilities. And maybe, just maybe, a second chance with someone from her past. The door buzzed again. Zoe this time, arms full of bubble wrap and tape. You just missed Richard, Olivia told her as she helped with the supplies. What? What did he want? To propose. Zoe nearly dropped the tape. He did what? Olivia laughed at her friend's expression. Don't worry, I said no. Good. The nerve of that man. Zoe shook her head in disbelief. What did he think would happen? That you'd just forget everything and fall into his arms? Something like that, Olivia said. But enough about Richard. Help me pack these books so we can have wine and pizza after. As they worked, Olivia told Zoe about Jackson's text and his upcoming trip to Chicago. I knew it. Zoe exclaimed. The universe is telling you something, Liv. The universe, Olivia said dryly, or you're meddling? Can't it be both? Zoe grinned. By evening, most of Olivia's apartment was packed into boxes. Sitting on the floor with pizza and wine, she and Zoe toasted to new beginnings. I'm going to miss you like crazy, Zoe said, suddenly serious. I'll miss you too. But you'll visit, right? Try and stop me, Zoe replied. Plus, I hear Chicago has some good-looking architects these days. Olivia threw a napkin at her friend, both of them laughing. For the first time in days, Olivia felt completely at peace with her decisions. Whatever came next, Chicago, her new job, possibly Jackson, she was ready to face it on her own terms. 2 weeks passed in a blur of packing, goodbyes, and finalizing details for Olivia's move to Chicago. The night before her flight, Zoe threw her a small going-away party with their closest friends. Notably absent were Richard and anyone connected to him, a clean break. To Olivia, Zoe toasted, raising her glass. May Chicago be lucky enough to deserve you. The next morning, Olivia boarded her flight with mixed emotions. Excitement for her new beginning competed with nervousness about leaving everything familiar behind. But as the plane took off, she felt her spirits lift along with it. This was her choice, her path forward. Chicago greeted her with windy sunshine. Her new company had arranged temporary housing for her first month, a furnished apartment with stunning views of Lake Michigan. After the moving company delivered her boxes, Olivia spent her first evening unpacking essentials and standing on her small balcony, watching the city lights reflect on the water. Her phone buzzed with a text from Jackson. Landed in Chicago. Still up for dinner tomorrow? They had kept in touch during the 2 weeks since Richard's party, their texts evolving from casual check-ins to longer conversations. Olivia found herself looking forward to seeing him again. Definitely, she replied. Let me know where and when. Her first day at the new job went better than she could have hoped. The company culture was exactly as promised, creative, supportive, with none of the office politics she'd dealt with at her previous position. Her team welcomed her warmly, and her boss, Catherine, spent an hour outlining exciting projects they wanted her to lead. We've been following your work for years, Catherine told her. Those campaigns you designed for Metro Media were brilliant. Thank you, Olivia said, surprised. I didn't realize my work had reached Chicago. Good talent gets noticed, Catherine replied. That's why we were so persistent about bringing you here. By the end of the day, Olivia felt energized rather than drained, a welcome change from her last job. She rushed home to change for dinner with Jackson, choosing a simple blue dress that complemented her eyes. They met at a restaurant near the riverfront, its large windows offering views of boats passing by. Jackson was already seated when she arrived, standing to greet her with a warm hug. Chicago looks good on you, he said, holding her at arm's length to look at her. One day in and you're already glowing. First day went well, Olivia admitted as they sat down. What brings you to town? Business. Partly, Jackson replied, opening his menu. I'm meeting with a potential client tomorrow who wants to build a sustainable office complex. But honestly, I also wanted to see how you were settling in. Olivia smiled, touched by his thoughtfulness. That's sweet of you. Not entirely selfless, Jackson admitted with a grin. I've enjoyed reconnecting these past couple weeks. Their conversation flowed easily through dinner, jumping from work to memories of college to their favorite parts of Chicago. Olivia found herself laughing more than she had in months. I forgot how easy it is to talk to you, she said as they shared a dessert. Same here, Jackson replied. Some things don't change, I guess. After dinner, they walked along the riverfront, the night air cool but pleasant. Jackson pointed out buildings he admired, explaining their architectural features with infectious enthusiasm. Sorry, he said, catching himself mid-explanation about a particularly unique skyscraper. I can get carried away talking about buildings. Don't apologize, Olivia said. I like hearing you talk about things you're passionate about. Their eyes met, and for a moment Olivia thought he might kiss her. Instead, Jackson took her hand, squeezing it gently before letting go. I should get you home, he said. You have work tomorrow? At her apartment door, Jackson lingered. I'll be in town until Friday. Dinner again before I leave? I'd like that, Olivia replied. This time he did kiss her, a soft, brief touch of lips that left her wanting more. Good night, Liv, he whispered before walking away. Inside her apartment, Olivia touched her lips, smiling to herself. It wasn't a romance rekindled, not yet, but it felt like the beginning of something genuine. Something that had nothing to do with Richard or the past, and everything to do with who she was now. Over the next few weeks, Olivia threw herself into her new life. Her work was challenging and rewarding, her coworkers becoming friends. She explored Chicago whenever she had free time, discovering favorite cafes, parks, and bookstores. Jackson's visits became regular. He had indeed won that client contract, giving him a reason to be in Chicago at least twice a month. Each time they grew closer, building a connection that felt both familiar and excitingly new. Meanwhile, Zoe kept her updated on gossip from back home. Richard had apparently left town shortly after Olivia, taking an extended vacation that many suspected was to avoid facing the social fallout from his birthday party debacle. His family's doing damage control, Zoe told her during one of their video calls. Throwing money at charities that support women of color, suddenly very concerned with diversity. It's kind of hilarious. At least some good came out of it, Olivia replied, not particularly interested in Richard's affairs anymore. Enough about him, Zoe said, waving her hand dismissively. Tell me about Architect Boy. When do I get to visit and meet version 2.0 of your relationship? Olivia laughed. Soon. Once I'm settled in my permanent apartment. 3 months after moving to Chicago, Olivia found the perfect place. A cozy 2-bedroom condo in a diverse neighborhood with tree-lined streets. The second bedroom would be her home office for the freelance design work she had started doing again. Jackson helped her move in, measuring spaces and offering design suggestions. They worked well together, their styles complementing each other. This place suits you, he said as they collapsed onto her new couch after a long day of unpacking. It feels like home already, Olivia agreed, resting her head on his shoulder. Jackson turned to face her, his expression suddenly serious. Liv, there's something I need to tell you. Her heart skipped. What is it? I've been offered a project in Chicago. A big one. It would mean relocating here for at least a year, maybe longer. Olivia sat up straighter. Are you going to take it? I wanted to talk to you first, Jackson said, taking her hand. We've been taking things slow and I respect that. After what happened with Richard, I understand why you need space and time. Jackson. Let me finish, he said gently. I've fallen for you all over again, Olivia. But I don't want to pressure you. If my being here would complicate things, I can turn down the project. Olivia stared at him, touched by his consideration but also amused. You'd turn down a major project for me? In a heartbeat, he replied without hesitation. She leaned forward and kissed him deeply. When they broke apart, she said, That's exactly why you don't need to. Take the project, Jackson. I want you here. His smile lit up his entire face. Yeah, she confirmed. I've fallen for you too. That night, they made love for the first time since reconnecting. Tender at first, then passionate, a physical expression of the feelings that had been growing between them for months. Afterward, lying in each other's arms, Olivia felt completely at peace. Chicago was truly home now, and so was Jackson. Move in with me, she said suddenly. Jackson lifted his head to look at her. What? Move in with me. When you relocate for the project. This place has plenty of room and… He silenced her with a kiss. Yes, he said against her lips. Absolutely yes. Olivia fell asleep that night feeling like her life had come full circle in the best possible way. What had started as heartbreak had led her here, to a career she loved, a city that energized her, and a man who respected and adored her for exactly who she was. Richard Walker and his family seemed like a distant memory now, a chapter closed. Ahead of her stretched a future full of possibilities, all of her own making. 6 months into her Chicago life, Olivia had found her rhythm. Her job continually challenged and excited her, her relationship with Jackson was thriving, and she had built a small but solid circle of friends in her new city. Jackson had moved in 3 months ago when his Chicago project officially began. They had settled into domestic life with surprising ease, their habits and routines meshing naturally. His architectural drafting table fit perfectly in the corner of their living room, while Olivia's home office occupied the second bedroom. On a crisp autumn morning, Olivia was presenting to her team about an upcoming campaign when her phone vibrated repeatedly in her pocket. She ignored it until the meeting ended, then checked to find 3 missed calls from Zoe and a text that simply read, "Call me ASAP." Worried, Olivia stepped into an empty conference room and called her friend. Finally, Zoe answered immediately. You're not going to believe this. What's wrong? Are you okay? I'm fine, but you need to know something. Richard Walker is in Chicago. Olivia frowned. What? Why? Walker Industries is acquiring some tech company there. It was just announced this morning. Richard's leading the transition team, which means he'll be in Chicago for at least 6 months. Olivia's stomach tightened slightly, but the feeling passed quickly. It's a big city. I probably won't even run into him. That's what I thought too until I saw the name of the tech company. Check your email. Olivia opened her inbox to find a message from Zoe with a news article attached. The headline read, Walker Industries acquires Innovatech in multi-million-dollar deal. Oh, Olivia said quietly. Isn't that? Yes, Olivia confirmed. Innovatech is one of our biggest clients. Her company handled all marketing for Innovatech, which meant she would almost certainly cross paths with Richard eventually. Are you okay? Zoe asked. I'm fine, Olivia said, surprised to realize it was true. It's been almost 8 months since everything happened. I've moved on. Just thought you should know before you ran into him unexpectedly. I appreciate it. I'll tell Jackson tonight. When she did tell Jackson over dinner, his reaction was calm but concerned. Does it bother you? He asked. The idea of seeing him again? Olivia considered the question carefully. Not in the way you might think. I don't have feelings for him anymore. But it might be awkward. Jackson reached across the table and took her hand. If it becomes a problem, we can figure it out. You could ask to be removed from the Innovatech account or… No, Olivia said firmly. I won't let Richard's presence affect my work. I'm lead on that account and I'm good at it. Besides, I have nothing to be ashamed of or to hide from. Jackson smiled. That's my girl. 2 weeks later, the inevitable happened. Olivia was at Innovateca's offices for a meeting about transitioning their marketing strategy under the new ownership. She had just finished setting up her presentation when the conference room door opened and Richard walked in, followed by several Walker Industries executives. He stopped short when he saw her, clearly not having been warned about her involvement either. For a moment they just stared at each other. Richard recovered first, his professional mask sliding into place. "Olivia, I didn't realize you handled Innovateca's marketing." "For the past 5 months," she replied, keeping her voice neutral. One of the Innovatec executives looked between them. "You two know each other?" "We're acquainted," Richard said smoothly. "From back east." The meeting proceeded professionally, if somewhat tensely. Olivia presented her team's ideas with confidence, answering questions and addressing concerns. Richard was cordial but distant, focusing on the business aspects rather than engaging with her directly. Afterward, as everyone was gathering their materials to leave, Richard approached her. "You seem well," he said quietly. "I am," Olivia replied. "Very well, actually." "Good." He hesitated. "I didn't know you worked with Innovatec when we made the acquisition. Would it have made a difference?" "No," he admitted. "The deal makes sense regardless. But I would have prepared myself better for seeing you." Olivia nodded. "Well, now we've gotten the first encounter over with. We can be professional moving forward." Richard studied her face. "You've changed." "Yes," she agreed. "I have. Chicago suits you." His eyes dropped to her left hand, noting the absence of any ring. "Are you with anyone?" "Yes," Olivia said, feeling no need to elaborate. "I should go. I have another meeting." As she gathered her materials, Richard said, "For what it's worth, I'm sorry. For everything that happened. You deserved better." Olivia looked up, meeting his gaze directly. "Yes, I did. And now I have it." She walked out without looking back, her heels clicking confidently on the marble floor. Outside, she took a deep breath of the crisp Chicago air. Seeing Richard had been less dramatic than she might have expected. He was just a person from her past now. Not the villain, not the one who got away, just someone she used to know. That evening, she recounted the meeting to Jackson as they cooked dinner together. "How did it feel?" he asked. "Seeing him again?" "Strangely normal," Olivia replied, chopping vegetables. "Like running into an old colleague. He didn't have any power over my emotions." Jackson smiled. "That's how you know you've really moved on." "He asked if I was with anyone," Olivia mentioned casually. "And what did you say?" "Just, yes." I didn't elaborate. Jackson set down his knife and turned to her. "Maybe we should elaborate a bit." "What do you mean?" He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box, not velvet like Richard's had been, but a simple wooden one with a beautiful grain pattern. "I've been carrying this around for weeks, waiting for the right moment," Jackson said, his voice slightly nervous. "This probably isn't it, standing in our kitchen with half-chopped onions, but somehow it feels right anyway." Olivia's heart raced as he opened the box, revealing a stunning emerald ring set in gold. "I remembered you once said you preferred colored stones to diamonds," Jackson said softly. "That they had more character, more life." "You remembered that?" Olivia whispered, tears forming in her eyes. "I remember everything about you, Liv. The good and the bad, the dreams and the fears. I love all of it. All of you." He took a deep breath. "I'm not asking because of Richard being in town, or because of anything to do with the past. I'm asking because I want a future with you. Will you marry me?" Tears spilled down Olivia's cheeks as she nodded. "Yes. Absolutely yes." Jackson slipped the ring onto her finger, then pulled her into a kiss that felt like a promise. When they finally broke apart, both smiling through tears, Olivia looked down at her ring. "It's perfect," she said. "You're perfect." "Not perfect," Jackson corrected. "But perfect for you. At least I try to be." That night, as they lay in bed together, Olivia thought about the strange twists of fate that had brought her to this moment. If Richard hadn't planned to dump her, if she hadn't seen that text, if she hadn't moved to Chicago. So many ifs that had led to the most right thing in her life. "What are you thinking about?" Jackson asked, tracing patterns on her bare shoulder. "How sometimes the worst moments can lead to the best ones," Olivia replied. "How losing what I thought I wanted helped me find what I actually needed." Jackson pulled her closer. "When do you want to tell people?" "Let's call our families tomorrow," Olivia said. "And I need to tell Zoe before she finds out from someone else. She'd never forgive me." "And your team at work?" Olivia hesitated. "I'll tell Catherine first, then the team. The news will spread." "Including to Richard," Jackson said, not asking. Including to Richard, Olivia confirmed. But that's not why I want to share it. I'm just happy and I don't want to hide it. Jackson kissed her forehead. I love you, Olivia Jones. Soon to be Olivia Chin, she replied with a smile. Only if you want, he said. Your name is yours. I want, she assured him. I very much want. As she drifted off to sleep, her new ring catching moonlight from the window, Olivia felt complete. The journey that had begun with pain had led to joy beyond what she could have imagined. And she was ready for whatever came next. News of Olivia and Jackson's engagement spread quickly. Their families were thrilled. Jackson's parents had always liked Olivia during their college days, and her family had yet to meet Jackson but were delighted by how happy he made their daughter. Zoe's reaction was predictably enthusiastic. I knew it, she crowed during their video call. The moment I saw you two together at Richard's party, I knew this would happen. You did not, Olivia laughed. Did too. You just had that chemistry. The kind that doesn't go away even after years apart. They set the wedding date for the following spring, a small ceremony in Chicago with just family and close friends. Olivia wanted something intimate and meaningful, the opposite of the elaborate society wedding she would have had with Richard. At work, her colleagues were genuinely happy for her. Catherine pulled her aside to offer congratulations. Jackson seems wonderful, she said. I met him at the company holiday party, remember? The way he looks at you says everything. Thank you, Olivia replied warmly. He is wonderful. Catherine hesitated before adding, Richard Walker asked about you in our executive meeting yesterday. Olivia kept her expression neutral. Oh. Nothing inappropriate, Catherine assured her. Just mentioned that you two had history and asked how you were doing here. I told him you were one of our most valuable team members. I appreciate that. He seemed, I don't know, wistful maybe? I heard through the grapevine that he's still single. Apparently turned down an arranged match his parents tried to set up. Olivia simply nodded, not particularly interested in Richard's personal life. The Innovatech transition is going well, she said, changing the subject. We should have the new branding rollout ready next month. She managed to avoid direct contact with Richard for several weeks, communicating through emails and team meetings when necessary. But their paths crossed again at a charity gala hosted by Innovatech to celebrate the successful acquisition. Olivia attended with Jackson, both of them dressed elegantly for the black tie event. They were chatting with Catherine and her husband when Richard approached, champagne glass in hand. Olivia, he greeted her, then nodded to Jackson. Good to see you both. Richard, Olivia replied. Have you met my fiancé Jackson Chin? Richard's eyes flickered to her emerald ring, then back to her face. Fiancé? Congratulations. When's the happy day? Spring, Jackson answered, his arm comfortable around Olivia's waist. Just a small ceremony. Richard nodded, looking between them. You make a good couple. I can see that. The conversation might have become awkward if not for Catherine smoothly drawing Richard into a discussion about the charity the gala was supporting. Olivia and Jackson excused themselves to mingle with other guests. That wasn't so bad, Jackson whispered as they walked away. No, Olivia agreed. Almost civil. Later in the evening, while Jackson was deep in conversation with an architect he admired, Olivia found herself alone at the bar waiting for drinks. Richard appeared beside her. Your ring suits you, he said quietly. More than a diamond would have. Olivia glanced at him, surprised by the observation. Thank you. He knows you well. Yes, she agreed. He does. Richard was silent for a moment, then said, I've been seeing someone. A professor at Northwestern. My parents don't approve. And how do you feel about that disapproval now? Olivia couldn't help asking. Richard met her eyes. I don't care anymore. You taught me that lesson at least. I'm glad, Olivia said sincerely. Are you happy, Olivia? Truly happy? She looked across the room to where Jackson stood, his face animated as he talked about his passion. Yes, she said. Completely. Richard nodded, a sad smile playing on his lips. Good. You deserve that. He raised his glass slightly. No hard feelings? Olivia considered for a moment, then clinked her glass against his. No hard feelings. They both knew it wasn't quite that simple. The hurt he had caused couldn't be erased entirely. But Olivia felt no anger anymore, no bitterness. Just a peaceful acceptance that everything had worked out as it should. The bartender returned with her drinks, and she excused herself to rejoin Jackson. As she walked away, she felt Richard's eyes on her back but didn't turn around. Their chapter was closed. The weeks turned into months. Spring approached, bringing wedding preparations and exciting career developments. Olivia was promoted to creative director, while Jackson's Chicago project earned accolades for its innovative sustainable design. 1 week before their wedding, they received an unexpected delivery, a large package from Richard Walker. Inside was an exquisite handcrafted dining table made from reclaimed wood. The card read simply, "Every home needs a beautiful place to gather and share meals. May yours be filled with joy. Congratulations, Richard." "Should we keep it?" Jackson asked, running his hand over the smooth surface. Olivia studied the table. It was genuinely beautiful and exactly their style. Yes, she decided. It can be a reminder. Of what? That sometimes people can surprise you. That endings can lead to beginnings. That everything happens for a reason. Jackson pulled her into his arms. "When did you get so wise?" "When I stopped trying to be what someone else wanted and started being myself." Their wedding day dawned clear and bright. They exchanged vows in a sunlit greenhouse conservatory, surrounded by blooming flowers and the people they loved most. Zoe, as maid of honor, cried more than anyone else. "You did it, Liv," she whispered as they hugged after the ceremony. "You found your happy ending." "Not an ending," Olivia corrected, looking over at Jackson who was laughing with his parents. "A beginning." That night, at their small reception in a restaurant overlooking the lake, Olivia looked around at the faces of her loved ones. Her parents, Jackson's family, Zoe, colleagues who had become friends, even a few familiar faces from her old life who had made the trip to Chicago. Richard wasn't there, of course. But his gift was acknowledged, his part in her journey recognized. Without that painful text message over a year ago, without his planned betrayal, she might never have found the courage to reclaim her life, to open herself to real love. As Jackson led her onto the dance floor for their first dance, Olivia felt a sense of completion. The music swelled, Jackson's arms held her close, and she knew with absolute certainty that she was exactly where she was meant to be. "What are you thinking?" Jackson murmured against her ear as they swayed to the music. "That sometimes the worst moment of your life can lead to the best," she replied. "That sometimes people don't realize what they have until it's gone." "His loss," Jackson said simply. "My gain." Olivia smiled up at her husband. "And mine." As they danced, Chicago's skyline glittered beyond the windows, the same city that had welcomed her when she was broken, that had given her space to heal, to grow, to become fully herself. She had arrived alone, but now she was surrounded by love, building a life with a man who saw her completely and cherished what he saw. The journey from that devastating text message to this perfect moment hadn't been easy. There had been tears, doubt, and fear along the way. But standing here now, in Jackson's arms, with their whole future stretching before them, Olivia knew one thing for certain. She wouldn't change a single step of the path that had led her home. 1 year into their marriage, life had settled into a happy rhythm for Olivia and Jackson. Their careers continued to flourish. Olivia's agency had won several prestigious awards under her creative direction, while Jackson's sustainable building designs were gaining national recognition. They had bought a house together, a charming renovated brownstone with enough space for Jackson's home studio and Olivia's growing collection of art and books. Richard's dining table occupied a place of honor in their dining room, a daily reminder of how unexpected twists could lead to beautiful destinations. Richard himself had become a distant figure in their lives. His company still owned Innovatech, but he had returned to New York after the transition was complete, reportedly still dating the Northwestern professor despite his family's continued disapproval. On a sunny morning in early summer, Olivia sat at her doctor's office, waiting for test results. She'd been feeling unusually tired lately, occasionally nauseated in the mornings. At first, she'd attributed it to stress from a major campaign launch, but when the symptoms persisted, she'd made an appointment. "Mrs. Chin?" The doctor entered with a smile. "I have your results." 10 minutes later, Olivia walked out in a daze, a piece of paper clutched in her hand and a mix of emotions swirling inside her. She called Jackson immediately. "Can you meet me for lunch?" she asked when he answered. "It's important." "Is everything okay?" Concern filled his voice. "Yes," she assured him. "More than okay. I just need to see you." They met at a small cafe near their house, one of their favorite spots. Jackson was already waiting, his face anxious until he saw her smile. "What's going on?" he asked as she sat down. In answer, Olivia placed the paper on the table, an ultrasound image barely showing anything recognizable to untrained eyes. "I'm pregnant," she said softly. Jackson stared at the image, then at her, his expression transforming from shock to wonder to pure joy. "We're having a baby?" Olivia nodded, tears filling her eyes. 8 weeks along. Due in January. Jackson moved to her side of the table, pulling her into a gentle embrace. "A baby," he whispered against her hair. "Our baby." They spent the rest of lunch talking excitedly about nursery designs, name ideas, and how to tell their families. Both agreed to wait until the 3-month mark before sharing the news widely, but they couldn't resist telling Zoe, who screamed so loudly over the phone that Olivia had to hold it away from her ear. "I'm going to be an auntie," Zoe exclaimed. The coolest, most fashionable auntie ever. As summer turned to fall, Olivia's pregnancy progressed smoothly. Her small baby bump was just becoming noticeable when she received an unexpected email from her old company back east. They were hosting a major marketing industry award ceremony and wanted her to attend as an honored guest. Her Chicago campaigns had put her on the map as one of the industry's leading creatives. "You should go," Jackson encouraged when she showed him the invitation. "You've earned the recognition." "It would mean going back there," Olivia said. "Possibly seeing people from my old life." "Would that be so bad?" "You're not the same person who left. You're stronger now." After consideration, Olivia accepted the invitation. The ceremony would take place when she was 5 months pregnant, still comfortable enough to travel, but visibly expecting. There was something fitting about returning to her old city this way, successful in career and personal life beyond what she could have imagined when she left. Catherine insisted on accompanying her. "We're showcasing our star talent," she said when Olivia protested that she didn't need a chaperone. "Besides, I want to network with East Coast clients." They flew in the day before the ceremony. Olivia had arranged dinner with Zoe that evening, while Catherine met with business associates. Zoe was waiting at the restaurant when Olivia arrived, jumping up to embrace her friend carefully around her baby bump. "Look at you," Zoe exclaimed, stepping back to take in Olivia's glowing appearance. "Pregnancy agrees with you." "Most days," Olivia laughed. "When I'm not craving pickles dipped in ice cream." They settled in, catching up on everything that had happened in the months since Zoe's last visit to Chicago. Halfway through dinner, Zoe's expression turned serious. "There's something you should know," she said. "About tomorrow's ceremony." Olivia set down her fork. "What is it?" "Richard will be there. Walker Industries is one of the sponsors." Olivia nodded slowly. "I figured he might be." "It's okay, Zoe. We've seen each other since everything happened. It's not dramatic anymore." "There's more," Zoe said hesitantly. "He's engaged. To the professor from Northwestern. They're making their first official appearance as a couple." For a moment, Olivia was silent, processing this information. Then she smiled genuinely. "Good for him. It sounds like he finally stood up to his family." "You really mean that?" Zoe studied her face. "I do," Olivia confirmed. "Everyone deserves to be happy, Zoe. Even Richard." Later that night, back in her hotel room, Olivia told Jackson about Richard's engagement during their nightly video call. "How do you feel about it?" Jackson asked, his face serious on the screen. "Honestly? Happy for him," Olivia replied. "He's making better choices now. Maybe what happened between us taught him something valuable." Jackson's face softened. "You're amazing, you know that? Most people wouldn't be so gracious." "It's easy to be gracious when you're this happy," Olivia said, running a hand over her baby bump. "Besides, I owe Richard in a weird way. If he hadn't planned to dump me, I might never have found my way back to you." The awards ceremony the next evening was held in the grand ballroom of the same hotel where Richard's birthday party had taken place almost 2 years earlier. Olivia couldn't help but appreciate the symmetry as she entered, now 5 months pregnant and being honored for her professional achievements. She wore a flowing emerald gown that complemented her ring and flattered her changing body, her hair swept up elegantly. Catherine walked beside her, pointing out industry figures they should connect with. Olivia Jones. She turned to see David Warner, her former boss, approaching with a wide smile. "It's Chin now," she corrected with a smile, accepting his kiss on the cheek. "Good to see you, David." "You look magnificent," he said, glancing at her baby bump. "Chicago has clearly been good to you." "The best decision I ever made," Olivia agreed. Throughout the pre-ceremony reception, Olivia was approached by former colleagues and industry peers, all eager to congratulate her on both her professional success and her pregnancy. She moved through the crowd with confidence, aware of how different she felt from the last time she'd been in this hotel. She was chatting with a group of advertisers when she felt a presence at her elbow. Turning, she found Richard and a striking woman with silver-streaked dark hair beside him. Olivia, Richard said warmly. You look wonderful. Thank you, she replied, then turned to the woman. You must be Dr. Winters. I've heard you're an exceptional professor. The woman looked surprised but pleased. Call me Elena, please. And thank you, though I'm curious who's been talking about my teaching. Chicago's a smaller world than it seems, Olivia said with a smile. Congratulations on your engagement. Elena glanced at Richard with obvious affection. Thank you. It was quite the surprise proposal. Right in the middle of one of my lectures. Richard actually blushed. I couldn't wait until after class. I'm happy for you both, Olivia said sincerely. And we for you, Richard replied, nodding toward her pregnancy. When are you due? January, Olivia told them. A New Year's baby, perhaps. They chatted amicably for a few minutes before being interrupted by the announcement that the ceremony was about to begin. As they started to move toward their tables, Richard touched Olivia's arm lightly. I want to thank you, he said quietly, while Elena was greeting someone else. For what? For helping me become a better person. His eyes were earnest. What I did, what I almost did, to you was unforgivable. But it made me look hard at myself, at the kind of man I was becoming. I didn't like what I saw. Olivia studied his face, seeing genuine change there. We all make mistakes, Richard. What matters is learning from them. I have, he assured her. Elena's family doesn't come from money. Their academics lived paycheck to paycheck. My parents tried every trick to break us up. He smiled ruefully. Sound familiar? Very, Olivia acknowledged. But this time I chose differently. Told them they could accept Elena or lose me. His expression softened. I wish I'd had the courage to do that for you. It wasn't meant to be, Olivia said simply. We weren't right for each other, Richard. Look at us now, both where we're supposed to be. Richard nodded, then reached into his pocket and handed her a small envelope. A gift for the baby. Nothing extravagant, I promise. Olivia opened it to find a gift certificate for a children's bookstore in Chicago. The note read, for the little one's first library. Knowledge is the most valuable gift. R. Thank you, she said, touched by the thoughtfulness. This is perfect. As they parted ways to find their tables, Olivia felt a sense of closure more complete than she'd ever expected. The past was truly in the past now, with no lingering resentment or pain. During the ceremony, Olivia received a standing ovation when she accepted her award for innovation in digital marketing. Looking out at the crowd, at her former colleagues, at Catherine beaming proudly, at Richard and Elena applauding sincerely, she felt a profound gratitude for every step of her journey, even the painful ones. Later, back in her hotel room, she video-called Jackson again to share her triumph. I wish you could have been there, she told him, holding up her award for the camera. Me too, he said. But I'll be waiting when you get home tomorrow. I'm so proud of you, Liv. As she packed for her return flight the next morning, Olivia reflected on how much had changed since she'd last left the city. She had arrived in Chicago broken-hearted but determined, carrying little more than hope and courage. Now she was returning with an award, a successful career, a loving husband waiting for her, and a baby growing inside her. Life had a way of coming full circle, she thought. Not returning you to where you started, but bringing you to where you were always meant to be. The holidays arrived with a flurry of snow and festivity in Chicago. Olivia, now 8 months pregnant, had decorated their brownstone with evergreen garlands and twinkling lights. It was their second Christmas as a married couple, but their first in their new home, and Olivia wanted it to be special. Should you be up on that stepladder? Jackson asked worriedly as he came in to find her hanging ornaments on their tall Christmas tree. I'm pregnant, not invalid, Olivia replied, though she did allow him to help her down and take over the higher decorations. Their families were arriving in 2 days to spend Christmas with them, their first holiday together as extended families. Olivia's parents had never met Jackson's in person, though they had connected over video calls during the wedding planning. Do you think they'll get along? Olivia asked as they arranged presents under the tree. They'll love each other, Jackson assured her. They already have the most important thing in common. What's that? They're about to become grandparents to the world's most perfect baby. Olivia laughed, resting a hand on her rounded belly. You're biased. Completely, Jackson agreed, leaning down to kiss her. The baby, a girl they had decided to name Lily, was due in the second week of January. The nursery was ready, painted a soft mint green with delicate floral designs that Jackson had created himself. Olivia often found herself standing in the doorway, imagining their daughter sleeping in the white crib, playing on the plush rug, growing up in this home filled with love. When their families arrived, the house filled with warmth and laughter. Jackson's parents brought homemade Chinese dishes, while Olivia's mother contributed her famous sweet potato pie. The two mothers bonded instantly over recipes and baby preparations, while the fathers discovered a shared love of jazz music and spent hours comparing vinyl collections. On Christmas Eve, as they all sat around Richard's dining table enjoying dinner, Olivia looked around at the blended families, her black parents and Jackson's Chinese parents, all talking and laughing together, and felt a wave of gratitude for how perfectly things had worked out. "A toast," Jackson's father said, raising his glass. "To family. Old and new, by blood and by choice." "And to Lily," Olivia's mother added, "who will have the richest heritage any child could ask for." They were clearing dessert dishes when Olivia felt a sharp pain in her abdomen. She brushed it off initially, but when it returned stronger several minutes later, she caught Jackson's eye across the room. "Honey?" he questioned, seeing her expression. "I think," Olivia started, then winced as another contraction hit. "I think Lily might be coming early." The house erupted in controlled chaos. Both mothers immediately took charge, timing contractions and packing Olivia's hospital bag while the fathers called the hospital and brought the car around. "But it's too early," Olivia protested as Jackson helped her into her coat. "We still have 2 weeks. Babies come when they're ready," her mother soothed. "And it seems Lily wants to be here for Christmas." At the hospital, the doctor confirmed that Olivia was indeed in labor. "Christmas babies are special," she told them with a smile. "And everything looks good. The baby's just a little eager to meet you." The labor progressed steadily through the night. Jackson never left Olivia's side, holding her hand, wiping her brow, encouraging her through each contraction. Both sets of parents waited anxiously in the family room, sending periodic text messages for updates. At 3:17 on Christmas morning, Lily Chin came into the world with a powerful cry, perfectly healthy despite being slightly early. She had Jackson's eyes and Olivia's full lips, a beautiful blend of both of them. "She's perfect," Jackson whispered, tears streaming down his face as he held his daughter for the first time. "She is," Olivia agreed, exhausted but radiant. "Our Christmas miracle." The grandparents were allowed in shortly after, all of them crying and taking turns holding the newest member of their family. The room filled with love and wonder, the best Christmas gift any of them could have imagined. Later that day, as Olivia rested in her hospital bed with Lily sleeping peacefully in the bassinet beside her, her phone chimed with a text message. It was from Richard. "Heard from mutual friends about your Christmas delivery. Congratulations to you and Jackson. Wishing all 3 of you a lifetime of happiness." Olivia smiled, showing the message to Jackson, who had just returned with coffee. "That was nice of him," Jackson said, surprising Olivia with his genuine tone. "Yes," she agreed. "It was." Olivia thought about how far they had all come. Richard finding the courage to be with someone he truly loved despite his family's disapproval. Jackson rebuilding his architectural firm in Chicago to be with her. And Olivia herself, turning what could have been the most devastating moment of her life into the beginning of her greatest joy. As she watched Lily's tiny chest rise and fall with each breath, Olivia felt a sense of completion. The journey that had begun with that accidental text message had led here, to this perfect moment, to this beautiful family, to a life richer and more fulfilling than she could have imagined. Jackson sat on the edge of the bed, wrapping an arm around Olivia as they both gazed at their daughter. "What are you thinking?" he asked softly. "That everything happens for a reason," Olivia replied. "That sometimes the things that hurt us most lead us to where we're meant to be." "And where is that?" Olivia looked up at him, her eyes filled with love. "Right here. With you and Lily. This is exactly where I'm meant to be." Outside the hospital window, snow began to fall, covering Chicago in a fresh blanket of white. A new day, a new life, a new beginning. And for Olivia, Jackson, and baby Lily, the promise of countless happy tomorrows stretching ahead. In the end, what had seemed like the worst betrayal had become the greatest gift, the push Olivia needed to find her true path, her real love, her authentic self. And as she drifted off to sleep, her family close beside her, she knew with absolute certainty that she wouldn't change a single step of the journey that had brought her home.